Hey, good morning, guys. Another glorious Saturday, which I'm headed to the office after almost 18 years of service. I still have to work weekends. Or what's that movie? The guy standing in the mug in the cubicle. I need you to come in on Saturday. I need you to come in on Sunday as well. Yeah. Office Space, anyways. Anyways, one day closer to going home. And yeah, I do think that's soon. A lot of comments on that rapture dream, including buckle up, we're going to be here for another 1,000 years. A couple were hundreds of years away. I disagree. There's a lot going on. And I think the rapture is so soon it could be this year. It's not 100 years away. It's not 10 years away. It's not 5 years away. It's not 2 years away. I think it's this year. I could be wrong. I could be doing these videos in the next year. Hope not. So let's get your coffee or your tea or your orange juice. And I'm going to touch on this article that look. One of Jesus' signs on the Mount of Olivet was, and there'll be wars and rumors of wars. Are we seeing that today? Oh, absolutely. This world is one big tinderbox. The fuse has been lit, and this thing is fixing to go off. Period. There are too many signs out there. 10 signs that global war is rapidly approaching. I disagree with that. I think 10 signs that that global war is already here. That's an appropriate title. All right, article, very interesting article. Are we on the verge of an apocalyptic global war in which billions of people could die? Very few people anticipated that World War I would erupt, but it happened anyways. And very few people anticipated that World War II would erupt, but it happened anyways. All throughout human history, there have been wars. Ever since the very beginning, it has just been a matter of time before major powers collide. Unfortunately, even though very alarming warning signs are flashing all around us, most of the population of the Western would seem absolutely clueless about what is really going on out there. Leaders all over the planet seem to have come down with a really bad case of war fever, and preparations for apocalyptic showdowns are being made. The following are 10 signs that global war is rapidly approaching. Number 1, Politico is reporting that Israel and Hezbollah have both drafted battle plans, and the Biden administration is convinced that intense fighting is likely to break out. Quote, meanwhile, the Israel Defense Forces and Hezbollah have drafted battle plans and are in the process of trying to procure additional weapons, according to 2 senior U.S. officials briefed on the intelligence. Still quoting, both sides have publicly said they do not want to go to war, but senior Biden officials increasingly believe that intense fighting is likely to break out despite efforts to try to prevent it. The risk is higher now than any other point in recent weeks, according to another U.S. official who, like others in this story, was granted anonymity to speak freely about sensitive intelligence. It's going to happen, guys. Number 2, Iran is warning that there will be an obliterating war if the IDF enters southern Lebanon. Quote, Israel will face an obliterating war if it embarks on a full-scale military aggression against Hezbollah in Lebanon, Iran's permanent mission to the UN warned on Friday. The announcement was made on Twitter. That's like breaking up on Twitter or texting. Why don't you be a man and come up and say it in front of a congregation or in front of you and not on Twitter? Breaking up on somebody on Twitter. Anyways, let's continue. Albeit Iran deems as let me read that back to you. I lost track. Albeit Iran deems as psychological warfare the Zionist regime's propaganda about intending to attack Lebanon, should it embark on a full-scale military aggression on obliterating war will ensue, all options, including the full involvement of resistance fronts, are on the table, the Post reads. By all resistance fronts, Iran means not just Hezbollah and Hamas, but also the Houthi rebels in Yemen, as well as other groups in Syria and Iraq. Number 3, Iraq's not mentioned in the Gog-Magog war. Why? Well, maybe another day. Number 3, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is convinced that a major with Iran is inevitable because he believes that Iranians have plans to conquer the entire Middle East. Quote, Netanyahu emphasized that the fight against Iran's terror proxies is critical for other nations in the Middle East as Iran aims to dominate the rest of the region, including Sunni Muslim nations such as Saudi Arabia. We also have to deter the other elements of the Iran terror axis, but we have to deal with the axis. Netanyahu explained, the axis doesn't threaten only us, it threatens you. It's on the march to conquer the Middle East. This means actually conquer Saudi Arabia, conquer the Arabian Peninsula. It's just a question of time, he warned. Another drink. Number 4. Number 4. According to the NBC News, the U.S. is moving military assets into position so that they can be ready to evacuate Americans once an all-out war erupts between Israel and Hezbollah. Quote, the Pentagon is moving U.S. military assets closer to Israel and Lebanon to be ready to evacuate Americans as fighting between Israel and Hezbollah intensifies, according to the 3 U.S. defense officials and a former U.S. official familiar with the plans. Still quoting, the U.S. WASP on amphibious assault ship and Marines with the 24th expeditionary unit, which is special operations capable of moving into the Mediterranean. Expeditionary. I don't know what I was going. Let me read that back to you. U.S. WASP on amphibious assault ship and Marines from the 25th Expeditionary Unit, which is special operations capable, moved into the Mediterranean on Wednesday to join the dock landing ship USS Oak Hill and other ship in the amphibious ready group, according to the Marine Corps. The WASP will operate in the Eastern Mediterranean to be ready for military-assisted departure and other missions, the official says. Number 5. On Thursday, Hezbollah sent approximately 40 rockets into northern Israel. Quote, Hezbollah launched a barrage of some 40 rockets at northern Israel on Thursday afternoon, in which the terror group said was a response to recent Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon, including the killing of one of its operatives early in the day. Number 6. On Saturday, Israeli aircraft bombed several Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. Folks, tinderbox, the fuse is lit. The fuse is lit. Quote, on Saturday afternoon, Israeli fighter jets struck a building in southern Lebanon's Huala, where a group of Hezbollah operatives were gathered, the military said. The IDF said that operatives were spotted by troops of the 869th Combat Intelligence Collection Unit, and a short while later, the airstrike was carried out. Another building used by Hezbollah and Huala was also struck. The IDF added it published footage of the airstrikes. Number 7. I know that I wrote about this last week, but I couldn't leave this particular item out of this article. Apparently, Joe Biden is thinking about approving a plan that would allow U.S. military contractors to deploy to Ukraine. Now think. Quote, President Joe Biden's administration is moving toward a plan that would allow U.S. military contractors to deploy to Ukraine for the first time in a limited capacity, CNN reported. 4 U.S. officials familiar with the matter told the outlet that a policy is being worked on to allow the Pentagon to use private contractors to send troops for the maintenance and repair of the U.S. applied systems in Ukraine. Maintenance and repair, you know why they're going in. Oh, they're just going to repair some equipment. Right. Okay. Number 8. Russian President Vladimir Putin is reportedly interested in developing a coalition of nations that would rival the West and NATO. Quote, rhetoric from Vladimir Putin about a European security coalition is part of a Kremlin plan to create a group of Moscow-friendly countries to rival the West and NATO, the Institute for the Study of War has said. Maybe they've read Ezekiel 38. You think he's at night reading Ezekiel 38? Hey, wait a minute, that's us. Anyways, the assessment by the Washington, D.C. think tank follows Putin's visit to North Korea, which one international security expert told Newsweek has deepened on an already intensifying relationship of convenience between Moscow and Pyongyang. Number 9. Drink a coffee after that. Number 9. Putin is also warning that Russia will need to bring production of intermediate range nuclear weapon systems. Look, when we go up, I truly think America is toast. We go up, the missiles are coming down. You think America's going to be around after the rapture? We're not mentioned in Bible prophecy. Something happens to America once we go up. What'll it be? Full judgment from God by nuclear weapons launched by Moscow? I don't know. I don't want to be here to find out. Quote, Russia must respond to the actions of the United States, and it seems that it is necessary for the country to start the production of intermediate range nuclear forces, INF, strike systems, Russian Vladimir Putin said on Friday, quoting, "We need to respond to this and make decisions about what we will have to do in this direction next. Apparently, we need to start manufacturing these systems and then, based on the actual situation, make decisions about where, if necessary, to ensure our safety. To deploy them," Putin said in an operational meeting with the permanent members of the Russian Security Council. What do you want, huh? Maxie says hello. Number 10. A very influential figure in Russia foreign policy circles is suggesting that the Russians should actually detonate a nuclear device in order to show the world how serious they are. That should frighten you, because you know they'll do it. Mark my words. Some others have covered a story about a EMP device that could launch over the U.S. It could happen. Question is, are we going to be here or not? Quote, Dmitry Suslov, a top figure in the Moscow-based Council for Foreign and Defense Policy, has put forward the idea of Russia carrying out a demonstrative nuclear detonation, a move that could prompt the start of World War III. The alarming suggestion arises as tensions with the West intensify due to Ukraine's use of Western-supplied weaponry against Russian forces. Biden wants us to go to war. Suslov's think tank, known to occasionally sway government policy, made this proposal publicly shortly after President Putin delivered a grave warning to NATO countries. Putin warned that if Ukraine were to employ Western arms for attacks on Russian soil, it could spark a world war crisis, reinforcing his point with threats of severe repercussions. Unfortunately, all of this is happening at a time when 72% of the U.S. voters believe that the guy with his finger on the nuclear button does not have the mental or cognitive health to serve as president. And he quoted yesterday that he was staying in the race, that he was plowing full steam ahead. Is there going to be a war to keep the election from happening? I don't think there's going to be an election. Period. That was number 10. A sweeping section of registered voters do not believe Joe Biden has the mental and cognitive health to serve a second term as president after his unsteady debate performance last week, according to a new poll. The CBS/YouGov national survey conducted in the days after the debate found that 72% of voters do not believe Biden has the mental health to serve as president, as well as nearly half of his own party. That's up 7 points from the beginning of June. We are far in more trouble than most people realize, and it is far later than most people think it is. Guys, are you ready? It can launch at any moment. Question is, will we be here or not? How much more will we see of this? I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Taking it one day at a time. But mark my words, we're going home soon. Question is, are you going to be here? You can come with us. Acts 13, 38 and 39. Therefore let it be known to you, brethren, that through him forgiveness of sins is proclaimed to you, and through him everyone who believes is freed from all things from which you could not be freed through the law of Moses. He shed his blood so that we won't have to be judged by the law of Moses. 1 Corinthians 15, 3 and 4, for I have delivered to you as of first importance what I have also received, that Christ died by shedding his blood for our sins, according to Scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he was raised on the third day, according to Scriptures. He had to shed his blood so we could wash our sins in his blood. Third verse, it's that easy. Romans 10:13, for whosoever will call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. That simple. Trust in him today. Like, share, subscribe. God bless. Hope you have a good weekend. Love you guys. I pray for every one of you. Peace out.